Somebody sent this to me. It's called What Are We Doing to White People? I don't know. It's an interesting title. I'm curious. Okay.
Let's talk about what we're doing to white people.
Okay.
There's been something going on for a while now that we're being told not to notice. More to the point, that we're asking white people not only to ignore, but to accept the rising tide of racial hatred against white people.
I guess so. On the internet. Let's keep in mind it's an internet thing, but I guess so. There's no one more oppressed than a white gamer online. No, I mean, like, there's a little bit normalized, like, you know, it's so cringe to say, like, anti-whiteness because it sounds so victim-y. But, like, yeah, there's a little bit more, like, hatred against white people. That's where the rhetoric comes of, like, where people are like, you can't be racist to white people, just prejudice. And, you know, I get it, systemic racism, all that. You know, and the anthropology definition of racism doesn't include, like, they compound everything together, right? Systemic and individualized racism. But in the real world, like, you can still be individually racist to a white person. The thing is I'd be fine with the redefining that you can't be racist to a white person, but most of the time they'll say that people will say that as the justifier to be hateful towards white people. And when you say, like, isn't it still prejudice, which it still would be, like, yeah, but it's not the same. It's like, okay, like, you know, if you a lot of people that say it are saying it with antagonism. Like, just leave me alone. Okay, dude? All right, leave me alone. Stop it. That's pretty much what it is. But like, we don't want to go into, like, a full-blown victim complex because, like, white people are okay. You know, it's just good to just keep in mind to set, like, a equal standards and non-hateful standards. That's just a good thing to be like, hey, chill. Like, it's okay. You don't have to like white people, but you don't have to be an asshole to all white people, okay? Relax.
In the past decade, there's been a noticeable cultural shift in what constitutes acceptable speech as it relates to white people. Back when I was a kid...
Yeah, that's another thing, too. White people are very policed on their speech, which is a good thing, but, like, non-white people aren't policed nearly to the same extent on their speech. It's kind of the truth, okay?
Early 2000s, the mainstream American culture preached about respecting each other's differences and not seeing color. Nowadays, we say that not seeing color is racism, that you...
Don't see color. I still agree with the don't see color thing. Individually, there's no reason for me to acknowledge your color. It's irrelevant. Systemically is different. When it comes to voting, yeah, keep in mind, like, different systemic issues. But when it comes to an individual person on, like, a one-to-one level, if I see a black guy in the store, I'm not going to treat him differently, okay? I'm not going to let him cut me in line, and I'm not going to run away screaming. Those are the... Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Individually, yeah, we don't need to see color. Systemically, sure. But when I'm at the grocery store, that's not a systemic issue, okay? I don't need to treat people differently just because they're black or whatever. And that goes both ways. You know, you don't need to do extra things for a black person because you see them, and you also don't need to treat them as less than when you see them. It's the whole concept of colorblindness. And now it's racist to say that you should be colorblind. And, like, I get the nuance, you know, but systemic racism and all that. But at the end of the day, I'm in the fucking grocery store, dude. Okay? And also, like, you know, another way of not treating people, of not seeing color, don't walk up to a black person and go like, wow, your hair is really nice. Because I know you mean well, but it's really uncomfortable and awkward. Okay, so chill. You know, so...
must see color. But the more I see how things are unfolding, the more I'm convinced that this is wrong. Back then, saying something offhanded about white people were seen as not appropriate. Just as it would be to say something offhanded about people of any other race.
So back then, it was totally acceptable to say something offhanded about white, black people, funny stuff. Hey, make some funny jokes. I think it's okay to make, like, some silly, funny jokes that are, like, respectful. Like, don't be fucking being hateful. You can make an offhanded comment. Somebody wants to make a little joke about how I look like a school shooter or something. Like, that's funny. You know what I mean? Like, something. I'll make a joke about demons. I'll make a joke about how, you know, black people love the Waffle House or something. You know, just silly stuff that's not disrespectful. I'm just being dumb. You know what I mean? I'm just being, like, silly. Maybe I'm interpreting offhanded in the wrong way,
But that soon gave way to our current times, in which there exists virtually no limit to what racial minorities can and do say about white people. I believe this is the natural outgrowth of a perverse ideology that teaches us that every societal ill is the fault of white people.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like any other movement, it goes too far, right? Like, we were like, hey, listen, the system was created to prioritize whiteness. That's true. Let's talk about it. Yeah, now I hate all the white people. Oh, well, maybe we relax a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we went a little too far. Just relax. I didn't do it. I benefit from the system, and you know what? I would re-up if I died. I'd re-up as white again. I'm not stupid. I'm not trying to go through life on hard mode. But that doesn't mean that I had anything to do with it. You know what I mean? So.
And that whatever prejudice acts we may inflict upon them.
I think this guy's just nervous because Asian people are considered white to people of color. I'm not trying to be an asshole. It is kind of true. You know, they're the model minority. And I don't say that in agreement with that term, because I understand like what happens is a lot of people, like people who come from like Asian countries, we take like the best of them. That's kind of how like we, for lack of a better term, like brain drain from other countries. We take people with have like a lot of money or very intelligent, and we kind of just like pull them into the country. So now you have a bunch of Asian people coming to America, and it's like, wow, they're making so much money. It's like, yeah, because we chose, lack of a better term, the good ones, the ones that are considered more successful. That doesn't mean the other ones aren't good people. That's just kind of how we operate.
Does not constitute discrimination because we don't have the power to discriminate. And alarmingly, this is particularly pronounced in the younger generation. But is it true?
True.
Do we not have the power to discriminate?
You do.
Well, let's see.
You do. I remember when I worked for my job, I had like there's a lot of history. My foreman was Hispanic, and he was a great guy. And there were also a lot of Hispanic mechanics. It showed a little favoritism, but that's like, it was okay. Like, I wasn't dying. Like, the foreman would show more favoritism to like the Hispanic guys, but he didn't treat me like shit. Like, you know what I mean? So that you could consider that some kind of like, I don't know if you consider that systemic. It's like whatever, but it's like not that big of a deal in that instance. It's not like he treated fucking white people like assholes or anything, you know? But like, yeah, sure, he could have. And then if he did, then that would be different. But he didn't. Like, he was a great guy. But like, sure, as people get into positions of power, they'll have a little bit more power over other people. But, you know, whatever, you know?
First,
like I had a black boss too, and he would treat the other black, the other black workers. He would give him he'd give him a little more leniency. Let's just say, it is what it is. You know, I get it. It's sometimes frustrating when you have like a really terrible black employee working with you, and they fuck up constantly, and they wouldn't get like in trouble. But you know what, brother, it's life. But like I guess there are some areas where there's a little bit of I don't know if I call it systemic control, but in that the managerial control, you know what I'm saying. What's up, Rune Leon? Everyone has the power to discriminate. All you need is the thought and the stupidity to speak that thought out loud. True.
Let's take a look at the racial hatred.
Sorry, it took me a second to read.
The interpersonal level.
Getting old.
In today's society, it has become somewhat fashionable to think things and say things about and to white people that would not be acceptable if it was said about any other race.
True.
And we're being taught that this double standard is not wrong, that it is rather a form of empowerment.
Yeah, we should just try to hold everybody the same standards.
Negative experiences that they've had with.
What's up, baby? We went for a walk with your mom, and you're gonna be out longer. Okay, I love you. Bring me home food. Love you. Mwah.
White people to their whiteness. You had an argument in line at the grocery store with a white person. They were acting entitled because they were white.
True.
A white driver cut you off when you were driving. They need to check their white privilege. Your actions.
Listen, you can think whatever you want to yourself. If you're driving along and you see a white woman cut you off and you say, "Oh, fucking white bitch," I don't care, as long as you don't say it in public. You know what I mean? Keep your thoughts to yourself. I don't give a shit.
Your conduct and your existence.
That's like a normal thing. I remember being in a grocery store. I tell the story all the time, but it was so interesting. This was like 10 years ago, and I was working 2 jobs. One of the jobs I was working was like doing resets for a group grocery stores. And this old white woman came up to me. We were talking, myself, her, and a friend of mine that worked with me. And she's like, my best friend. Like, for some reason, we got into the conversation about how her best friend's black. And how, like, when her best friend's mad at her or when she's mad at her best friend, they're not just a bitch. It's like, oh, you white bitch, you black bitch. Like, it's somewhat normal to fucking put some stank on anything you can on somebody when they wrong you. You shouldn't do it, but it's kind of, it's kind of normal.
In other words, boil down to your whiteness. And ashamedly, at one point in time, this was how I used to think as well. And beyond the people in my circle, I noticed that many people of color have this sort of blasé attitude. An attitude most particularly pronounced when there are no other white people around. Things are being said not just behind closed doors, but out in the open.
I don't care what you say behind closed doors. White people act differently when there's no other non-white people. Black people do the same thing. Everybody does the same fucking thing.
Not just between close friends, but between complete strangers. So here's the thing.
That's how this is the complete stranger. If you walk up to any, you can listen. This is a fact. You can walk up to any Italian in the entire world and say something racist, and they will accept you as one of their own. That's a fact. Just keep that in mind. If you're ever a white person and you're afraid and you're alone and you see an Italian person, go up to them and say something racist about like any other group of people that aren't Italian. They'll laugh and they'll bring you home for dinner and they'll be like manja. That's how you can bond with. That's how you bond with Italian people.
This is something that I've experienced countless times, so I know that there are other people who are experiencing it too. I know it must resonate with at least some of you. The difficulty here is that no matter how many anecdotes I share, they are just that, anecdotes. And people who refuse to believe that this is happening will just chalk it up to my experiences being a fluke. Or worse yet, they'll say I'm lying. So I've compiled some TikTok videos. I want you to take a look at the things that are being said about white.
Those can also be, I wouldn't say anecdotal, but those could be, TikTok videos usually show the worst of the worst. Listen, man, let's just not be mean to other people publicly. Do whatever you want privately,
People?
My Italian? Absolutely not. Don't ever insult me like that.
Especially by the younger generation, the kind of statements people wouldn't dare say about people of any other race.
Okay.
Take a look at what is stunningly in vogue in today's society and ask yourselves, where does this lead to years down the line?
You have a token white and you're hanging out with your...
I'm going to tell you right now, okay? It's going to be the whitest women that are going to criticize people for being white. Let me tell you something. So the other day I did my TikTok rundown on Andrew Callahan, right? I've been making videos, and then I do like a shorts thing, and I put it up on like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. And I had mentioned basically this. I said, listen, with the Andrew Callahan situation, like at the end of the day, it's good to listen to the potential victims, but also keep in mind that you're innocent until proven guilty. And we need to operate like that as a society. It can be difficult, but you should go to the police when you can, right? It's an unfortunate reality. And people disagree with me, and that's fine. But there were at least 7 white women who told me that I had a very white male perspective on this topic. Every single person that told me I had a white man's perspective was a white woman. And it's like, I hate white women. White women are the worst people in the entire world because white women play like a game. I think Bill Burr said it the best. White women like pretend like they were never complicit in racism, and they do the most to try to distance themselves. Like, what? Well, white men are bad. It's like, yeah, but you were a white woman. Okay, you were a white woman. You were the one making the false claims about fucking black people that were getting them killed. Okay, stop fucking around. Okay, enough is enough. It's fucking obnoxious. Meanwhile, it's not a white man's perspective. It's just more of a male perspective. You know? But it's always white women, bro. Fucking obnoxious group of people. I swear. We should take away just white women's rights. That's it. Just white women. All the other ones are fine. But holy fuck. How annoying do you have to be?
The friend group of color, you need to ask permission from everybody in the group to bring your white friend. Like, don't just bring them. I might not be in the mood to deal with white shenanigans that day. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we do. We are full of shenanigans. Yeah, we're always just running around burning crosses. What the fuck are you talking about?
And another thing, it feeds into their ego.
Like, what's the shenanigan? Like, not having particularly tasteful food? Like, what are you talking about?
Like, don't let them think they're a good white person.
Ask how.
Oh my god, it's this fucking weirdo. He got canceled on TikTok. He just hates whiteness. He invalidated like every indigenous Australian person that's family was historically raped by white people, and then they were more white passing, and he fucking told them that they weren't like valid indigenous people. This guy is a fucking scumbag loser. Get the fuck out of here, dude. This guy, and that's after he was playing his fuckboy shit. He's like, respect all women, and then he was fucking like multiple women telling him that he was like single, that he was wearing condoms and shit. Bro, get this fucking goober off my screen, Modern Warrior. Holy moly.
Candace supports black and indigenous people of color. And sometimes I really don't know what to say, but here's one easy way. Okay. Just don't have babies.
Hey, listen, the best way to try to erase white people is to have babies with white people. Done. Oh yeah, dude. Nice Latina girl. I guess Latina girls can still be white, but you get the point. Black girl, you know, they have a white baby, and then it comes out black. You're erasing whiteness. I think that this is the best way. Is erase whiteness by fucking white guys. Well, I'm not saying me. I'm married. You know, but you know what I'm saying, dude? I guess for the whiteness. It's a win-win for everybody. Let's be real.
Single-handedly caused the white genocide that they are so afraid of.
Oh
With 2.25 billion Asian women and 500 million white men, baby, it'll only take 2 generations.
Okay.
In 2 generations, there will no longer be any blonde-haired.
Is there some things I noticed?
I'm fine with that. They're fucking. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Asian women. They're okay. Like they're not unattractive or anything. I'm just more. First of all, my wife. I guess I like Irish women. And like black women and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm married, but let's move on.
Just about white American culture. Being grounded is a punishment to them. That's what they call punishment.
What?
The least grounded, least balanced, most destructive race considers being grounded a punishment? Yeah.
I'm confused what's happening.
They also say really violent phrases. They say things like, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
Why do we have to kill the birds? Why is everything so violent?
What's happening here?
It's almost like one's language and phrases reflects one's nature.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So that new Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix is the perfect example of the sensationalization of white violence.
No, it's a perfect example of how dumb women are. No, and this is of course like kind of a joke, but like women for some reason since love men who are just so broken that they like, I can fix him. This is a woman problem. Okay, now maybe it's a white woman's problem, which is why they like all these serial killers, but it is a woman's problem. Okay, if women for some reason they're like, oh, I could fix him. I know he would eat people and he's gay. I don't know if that was Jeffrey Dahmer or another one, but I could fix him. It's like, holy fuck. What are you doing?
I have a much easier time sympathizing with white criminals than they do with black victims. People think these shows are harmless, but they actually contribute to a much bigger issue. It contributes to the viewpoint that white people are less violent than everyone else, and white violence is something to be consumed in media.
Wait, what? Wouldn't that contribute more? Because the only time we talk about serial killers is when they're white, even though there's like just as many black serial. I know it's like a myth that there are no black serial killers. There are plenty of them, but we only talk about the white ones. If anything, there's your racism. We only love the white ones. Wouldn't that? But though, just showing white serial killers perpetuate the idea that like only white people are additionally dangerous, right? Okay.
That's it.
What is with Caucasian people and like their inability to like read a fucking room? Like y'all act like you don't understand shit because y'all be the first ones during a conversation about the Holocaust to get so mad when black people be like, you do realize that the original Jewish people were black, right? White.
I don't think anybody cares. If you're dropping that weird banger, you're just so weird. Probably. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? In Egypt, there was a lot of Jews in Egypt. They were probably pretty black. And then black people were oppressing them. Okay. Why are you bringing that up during the Holocaust? Yeah, well, first of all, why are you talking about the Holocaust? What kind of parties do you guys go to where you're just casually talking about the fucking Holocaust? That sounds lame as hell. That sounds fucking lame, dude. Oh, yeah, when we're at the party, throwing back some brewskis, talking about the fucking Holocaust, and I'll jump in and be like, hey, did you know that Jews were used to be black? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm ethnically Jewish. Can I say the N-word? No, you can't. So then why are we talking about this right now? What's fucking happening? Why are we talking about this at a fucking... What are we doing? We're a loser. Do something cool. Stop talking about the Holocaust. Oh, it's fucking base, bro. What are you talking about, dude? Do something cooler. Okay? Guess how many countries are in Africa? A lot. Probably. Is everybody in Africa black? I feel like that might be true, except for the white colonizers. Maybe I'm just wrong. I don't care, because this doesn't matter. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, we got a Yay fan here. Yeah, she's a fucking Yay fan, dude.
People do not need to explain to
I thought Egyptian people were black, no? Don't they? I don't know. Who cares? Let's move on here, okay? Let's move on.
anybody about us all bleeding red because, baby,
We do
you
all
all
bleed.
are the people that need to learn that lesson.
Hey, listen. Here's a really good thing that this is the most unifying thing you'll ever hear in your entire life, okay? We're all pink on the inside, baby, if you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm saying, brother. You know what I mean? All right.
Clearly, history shows that you all are the people that like to pillage and eradicate, enslave,
guess.
and oppress.
Oh, black people sold slaves to white people. White and black, everybody did slaves. Everybody. Let's just be real here. Let's not pretend otherwise. People in general were real pieces of shit. You can't go anywhere, and there's no group of people that didn't enslave another group of people. Like, it's actually horrible. Not just white people. Okay.
Attempt to suppress greatness because you all simply don't have it.
Right. Here go y'all cum goblins who don't even live in the fucking city.
Goblins.
Which, by the way, the Q-tip people are the last ones to ever talk about somebody stealing anything.
Q-tip people. I'm Q-tip people.
Y'all wouldn't be in this country had it not been for y'all stealing it.
Yeah, it sounds like a skill issue. Boom. We stole the right things. I didn't steal anything. I'm just fucking just bored. Hey, but still, sounds like a skill issue. Should have stole the right stuff, okay? We stole land, you guys, I don't know what you stole. This feels like it's going down a path that I couldn't not be racist to making a joke about this, so we're going to move on.
So y'all are more focused on people looting and trying to get necessities and things that they need. And yes, a TV is a fucking necessity. Thank you.
No, a TV's not a necessity. What are we talking about right now? Are we talking about, like, the riots? Why are we justifying, like, the looting? Especially since they looted a lot of black-owned businesses. That kind of seems bad, but hey.
You feel like you're better than because people are out here stealing and
No,
first of all, if you are a Mayo monster, that is how your ancestors got everything from stealing. People are,
and that's a behavior that's very common among white women.
White women.
You may have not intended that, but there are many white women.
This woman is incredibly white. I'm not trying to be rude. I know that she's Asian, but she's like white diet white. You know what I mean? She's right there. She's so close. Why? Like it's always the ones that are so fucking white that are always the meanest to white people. Girl, you benefit from Western beauty standards significantly. What are you talking about? Okay, please stop. Stop yelling. Stop saying white. All right, it's weird. You're a weirdo. At least call us mayo monkeys or something like the last girl, because at least that's like you're just saying white as a way to try to be gross. Like just make up slurs against white people. Make it more fun. Make it more fun. You know?
Who act exactly like you.
If you can find it in your heart this holiday season to donate
white men are being discriminated in this country.
To the discriminated white fund.
Ooh, white fund.
Nothing says high protein like cicadas.
Ew. That's disgusting, bro.
Sure you.
I might try it.
And nothing says caucasity like that right there.
Wouldn't that be? Wait, what? That's like Asian. I'm not even trying to be racist. Like Asian people eat bugs and shit, and I've been eating more Asian food. I would try it potentially. What are you talking about? That's not a white food. Putting cheese on it, that's white. White cheese is white. Cheese is very white, right? Because like I think that white people are the only ones that like aren't lactose intolerant. I don't know, something like that. Probably wrong about that.
Looks like
That's an H Mart. What are you talking about?
roaming Asian grocery stores like it's an amusement park.
What? What are you? What an idiot! You're an idiot, bro. I go to H Mart. Check this out. H Mart is like an Asian market. I don't know why they call it H Mart. Like Haname? I don't know. It's H Mart. Check this out. When white people go to H Mart, they're paying Asian people and putting more wealth into Asian communities. Explain the bad. I go to H Mart. I got some good ass fucking corn dogs and stuff, or whatever they're called, and sushi and stuff. Who cares? They have some good food there. So you're telling white people to segregate themselves away from Asian culture, even though Asian people like spreading their culture. What's wrong with that? It's cool. Like, that'd be like saying like, oh, you shouldn't be eating sushi as a white person. Okay, so everybody who makes sushi now goes out of business because white people aren't going to purchase it. Like, you realize like that you're advocating for segregation by trying to shame people out of going to H Mart. It doesn't make any sense. It's just stupid.
Explain to me why white people don't wear shoes outdoor, but wear shoes inside.
That's a good question. I don't know. White people are always wearing shorts. It's a good question. You ever notice that white people are always wearing shorts in the winter? Fucking weirdos. I'm wearing shorts right now. That's a good question. Why do white people do that? I think it's because like, I don't know. Maybe we have nice legs. I don't know why. They're comfortable. I don't know. Why are white people like this?
We are both white women.
Ah, another white woman.
We are inherently a danger in spaces for Black, Indigenous, and other people of color simply by existing.
Why? Should we kill ourselves? Oh my God! When my wife gets home, I gotta kill her. She's a danger to fucking Indigenous people. I didn't even know that. Holy fuck.
It's white cis men who are part of the far right-winged ideology of fascism. That is a true threat, and the terrorism.
True, right-wing fascists are a threat
to this country.
If BIPOC stand in the street and scream at the top of their lungs, I hate all white people, I want all white people to go die, white devil, you cracker bitch, that's still not racism.
No, that's racism. I get it, though. I can understand it. It's still racism, though. See, I can understand. See, I would be more understanding of why a black person would hate a white person rather than the opposite. If you want to say that, be my guest. It's still racist, but I mean, like, frankly, I just don't care. I mean, it means so very little to me. If you're some fucking crazy idiot screaming, I hate white people in the streets, I'm just gonna laugh at you because you're a weirdo. Like, get a life, you know? Get a habit. Get a hobby. Get a hobby, dude. It's crazy.
You're not one of the good white people. Stop separating us from the bad white people. Don't sit out there in comments and say, we don't claim them. We are them.
Can I come to the cookout? Am I a good white guy? Am I a good white person?
We are the ones shooting up schools.
Whoa.
We are the ones raping people.
Sockhold Pro super chatted $5. When does a joke stop being a joke and start pushing something?
I don't know. But I don't think that white people are the only ones shooting up schools. It's a funny joke, but I think that there's a lot of crime in like a lot of like predominantly black areas, and it's because of systemic racism. Black people aren't inherently violent at all. That's what we should be talking more about, because I feel like we don't really report on when there's black on black violence because nobody cares. You know, it's fucked that we report on when there's white on. Historically, we've only really reported on when like white women get hurt, or more when like whiteness is threatened. And now we do it when, like, you know, blackness is threatened, but only by white people. And I still feel like it's kind of racist to not talk about like the normalized violence in a lot of like low income areas that predominantly negatively impact black people. We don't look at it. But if we saw it more, maybe we'd be more open to doing shit to fucking stop it. Like more money in school systems in some capacity, like helping these kids. I mean, you know, better services for their parents to be able to like work. It's just so fucked. I don't know. Bet there's something. But we never talk about it. I feel like that's racist. We never talk about fucking like how difficult like black areas can be in the news. They outrage farm when it's a white person versus a black person, which you should report. But they never talk about fucking like black on black crime in a way that's like, oh shit, look at how fucked this community is. Like maybe we should help them more. We don't see it on the news, so we don't care. Like when people like show us more of that shit. It's so normalized. Every time someone's like, yeah, that's a poor black area. Yeah, they're just good. It's hopeless. Like holy fuck, that's our and the attitude towards that shit. It's fucked up. Should be talking more about that.
Enslaving people.
And I'll say it. I hate being white.
I love being white. I'm not even making a joke here. I'm not kidding. Like I don't want to be oppressed. Okay, I'm not making. You think I'm kind of joking, but I'm like, who wants to be like? That sounds terrible. I acknowledge the oppression. The only thing I got going on as a white guy is I have to wear a lot of suntan lotion when I go to Disney. That's my only struggle. Okay, that's it. And I have a small penis, but outside of that, I'm vibbing. You know, I'm vibing.
Yeah, which means I'm one of the good ones.
Oh, I think that guy is making a joke.
All white people are inherently racist.
Yeah.
Can you be racist against white people?
Based off of the definition of racism, yes, but it's not going to hurt them and hurt their opportunities like it does people of color.
Well,
Maybe,
technically
sure,
you can.
I
It's
guess.
not like an issue.
You can't oppress the oppressor.
Why do people not understand that you can't be racist to white people? It's impossible. The system is not set up that way. You can insult white people, but it is not racism. Me calling a white person a tub of mayonnaise and like a flower looking ass, that's not racist.
You went all the way to Africa to
I remember these people. I remember this girl on TikTok. She's a joke. This was like really big during like the 2020s, where like just being an insane fuck was just for some reason so normal. Things have gotten better.
physically take black people from their homes, shove them in on boats where a lot of them got diseases and died, tell them where they could sit on a bus, tell them which...
It's unfortunate because we bought black... This is nobody wants... I don't know why we don't talk about it. We did buy black slaves from other black people. It's pretty fucked. It doesn't justify it, but it's like, just acknowledge that it's more complicated than just like white enslaved black. Like, I mean, it's like, you know, this shit's fucked, bro. It's terrible stuff.
Schools they could go to, which water fountains they could use, which bathrooms they could use, and that's sugarcoating it. Those are just terms. I'm not even describing all the disgusting things that happen, and they don't even want revenge. They're letting you guys skate by asking for equal rights. That's it? And you're still saying no? They are not as angry as they should be. Y'all are getting off easy, and you're still saying no?
I think that we should, when people overthrow white people, I just want to say, overthrow Asians too. They're almost as white as us. They're pretty much just as white as us. They overall perform better than white people. I say that if you're going to kill all white people, take out her too. Okay? Take her out with me. I will let you take me out if you take her out with me. Okay? Take all these virtue-signaling fucks down with me, and I'm totally fine with it. Because this is obnoxious, dude. Like, I want you to like really understand what's happening here. You have a person, I understand that they're Asian, and every group of people faces like different forms of oppression in some capacity, right? I get it. Okay, but you have an Asian person who's like middle to upper middle class. She's performing very well. She's talking well. I mean, she's doing fine. She's probably not super impacted by any form of actual racism. And she's trying to rile you, like people of color up who have been oppressed in America, to try to be more violent. Like, that's what's actually happening. You have a young girl who's never really faced any real oppression in her life, who came from like a middle-class family, who's trying to rile up people of color into being hateful to white people so she can ride that train and come off as a virtuous individual when she's not having a positive like conversation at all. That's all she's race baiting. That's all she's really doing. She doesn't care about black people. She just doesn't give a shit about black people at all. Okay, she's pretending so that she can get as much clout on the internet as possible. Because I want you to understand something from all these virtue signaling white fucks. Black brownie points is what virtue signalers want more than anything else. They want. Oh, I want to be one of the good ones. Oh, please, black people, give me your coolness. That's all they want from you. Is that you think that they're cool? That's it. She doesn't give a fuck about anybody. She doesn't give a shit about anything. It's a kid screaming on the internet.
Fuck you.
Some people look at that and chalk it up to the grumblings of the powerless. That's the idea that when you have a power disparity, the less powerful sort of has this general society given leeway to complain about the more powerful. The villagers complaining about their king doesn't have the same ring as the king making snide and crude comments about the villagers. But that's not what's going on here. Because although certain segments of our society refuse to believe this, even as evidence mount before our very eyes, in one side of the political aisle, people of color actually have greater power than white people.
Okay, you're losing me. What does that mean?
That is the truth that is not being acknowledged by the people that need to hear it, because this gets
What?
in the way of them wielding that power in the way they want.
What are you talking about? I'm a little confused. I don't think that like people of color have more power on a political aisle. I think that people of color's issues get weaponized by rich people on like the progressive side or well-off people to fucking virtue signal. But
Malignantly, I've heard from somewhere that politics is downstream of culture, and I think that is certainly correct. We have a mainstream culture that tells us it's okay to hold prejudice and hateful view of white people.
Okay,
and our
yes.
politics is then infused with this energy, and we see active, overt, and on the books racial discrimination of white people that those who are perpetuating this hatred is refusing to see as discrimination. They'll see
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that this guy's doing the same thing that other Asian girl was doing. He's kind of also like virtue signaling a little bit. I think it's fine to call out like some anti-whiteness, but like let's not take it too far and develop a fucking victim complex for white people. It's like, hey guys, let's maybe keep things a little more even. We don't have to like, yo, white people have so much power in the political aisle. Relax. They don't. It's not okay. It's just like they should have more, but they don't have they don't have more than they need more. There needs to be more power for people of color. Reversing the old historical systemic racisms, but you're going a little too far. It's starting to perpetuate a victim complex.
say, no, this is remediation. These are the same people who are making tenuous arguments that some of our race-neutral laws discriminate against people of color. And this is certainly evidence that in one side of the political aisle, people of color have more power than white people. Because if we didn't have the power, we wouldn't be able to put into place practices and policies that does this. That's what power is. Things like Minneapolis local government agreeing to a contract with the teachers union that says white teachers must be fired first. New York City's government enacting a policy of having white seniors go to the
I just wanted to look into a couple of things. So when it comes to this Minneapolis thing, I'm going to put sources in the description. So the first one for that, specifically, apparently it's only like a 20% non-white population of teachers, and they're saying like, oh, let's retain some of the black teachers if the people get fired. Okay, whatever. I mean, like that comes down to like affirmative action to an extent, and creating like a certain quota for black people. I understand that sometimes that might mean that a black person will get a job over a white person, even if they're not as qualified. But generally speaking, it's overall to try to combat like historical systemic racism, where people weren't allowed to have a job if they were black. You'd get passed up on that. The New York race-based preferential COVID treatments, he misrepresents it. Let me play it.
Back of the line on life-saving COVID treatment. New York City's government enacting a policy of having white seniors go to the back of the line on life-saving COVID treatment.
That's not true. So the way that it actually worked in New York, and this was when COVID treatments were very sparse, is that like you would get a priority of having COVID treatment based on disability for the most part. So somebody who's like older would qualify for that. And of course, being black is a disability according to New York. No, I'm just kidding. Black and Hispanic people, especially black people, were like taking COVID treatments the least out of any other group of people. So that was one of the reasons why like black and Hispanic people were above the list of white people, because like they were experiencing issues more greatly. Poor people in general usually have more crowded households, which means so more COVID spread. They have usually not as easy of a time being able to take off work, stuff like that. So like, yeah, you could say that it's not ideal, but I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially since a lot of black people weren't taking COVID shots, because of their mistrust for the government. So I get that, but okay.
A college professor that says white people should be killed.
This one that
no
she said that and they didn't punish her. Yeah, so an example, yeah.
Cornell University banning white people from rock climbing lessons.
This one, I guess they banned them and then they had to unban them because it was deemed racist. It says it right here. Open to white students after racism claims. This was like virtue signaling for black people or towards black people by Cornell for sure.
One of many instances of liberal colleges doing the utmost.
Yeah, there's some liberal colleges doing some ridiculous shit.
To exclude and ostracize white students. BIPOC only events equal no whites, but they don't have the guts to say that, even though
I wasn't going to go anyway. So.
That is what that is. That's what makes it different than the mere grumblings of the common villager. The villagers have surrendered the palace, demanding Marie Antoinette's head. The power dynamics have shifted. That is a fact. Progressive media outlets do not.
It's definitely shifted, but they haven't like completely shifted.
Cover these stories. Some people out there have no idea that this is going on. But worse, some others out there know but agree with what's going on. And for those people to convince themselves that this is not racial discrimination, they play mind tricks and word games. They use phrases and talking points like punching up. You can't be racist to white people. You can't oppress the oppressor, meaning I'm acting oppressively, but I've designated you as the oppressor, so everything goes.
Yeah, not all white people are oppressors, guys. All right, only most. I'm just kidding.
Rex Candy's infamous words: the only way to remedy past discrimination is current discrimination. Or when people say things like, what we're doing to white people is not racism because racism is prejudice plus power, and we don't have the power. They use all this mind-bending
apparatus. That's like systemic racism. Regular racism is just like, hey, I hate, like, if a black guy ran up and just started shooting a bunch of white kids in a kindergarten and they're like, I hate white people, that's probably racist, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's It doesn't have to get that deep. We don't have to be like, well, you know, he's been systemically oppressed, so it's justifiable. It's not justifiable. It's racist. Like, it's terrible. Now, maybe you think he has more of a justifiable reason to be racist, but that doesn't matter. Okay, so
apparatus to delude themselves into believing what they're doing faces no moral quandary, but in the back of their minds, perhaps in their subconscious minds, it's racial revenge. We experienced it.
Wow.
You experienced it too. See how you like it. That people of color are using our newfound power to act this way and then pretend like none of this is going on leads me to believe that we would have done the same thing that white people did were we to be in their historical position. Because such acts...
That's interesting, actually. That's an interesting claim. I might agree with that. So he's saying, what it sounded like he was saying is that if like the roles were reversed, things would have happened the same way. Like if black people rose to power, white people would have been enslaved in the same way that like what white people rose to power, black people would have been. And I kind of agree with that. I think the only reason that white people were able to basically fucking colonize the whole world is just access to natural resources is easier. White people tend to live in more tempered climates. Is that the right word? Less temperamental climates. You know, just it's the atmosphere or the excuse me. Not as like perpetually hot, better, more fertile lands, things like that. I think, and that's why we're white, because we grew up in areas that were, you know, that weren't super like overbearingly warm. I think a lot of it has to do with like resources like that. When you're living in like very, very hot areas, because black people are obviously black because there's just a lot of sun for a very long period of time, and it was like an evolutionary change. I don't think as many resources exist there. There seems to be more dangerous animals like fucking lions and shit or whatever the fuck's there. I feel like that's the thing. You know, there's a lot of access to steel and shit or wood. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But overall, I do think that it was... I feel like it being colder and more rainy is better than it being like super hot and arid. So I think that, and I could be wrong, but I don't think it is any inherent white quality that made white people, you know, be able to dominate the world. I think it was just luck in some capacity. That's it. That's all it is. It's been about 20 minutes and he hasn't acknowledged his chat. He's probably just got a touch of it. Ew, I don't like you. He's probably got a touch of the autism. I just don't like the way that you use that. Like, that's kind of gross, bro. I'm just gonna ban you from the chat. I thought that was just kind of yucky. First of all, you have no entitlement for me to read the chat. I usually do read the chat, but I was like reading an article and now I'm like looking back and forth the chat. But I don't know. That was kind of gross. Just saying that I haven't read the chat in 20 minutes because I have autism. I don't know, man. I feel like that's just disrespectful, bro. I don't like slander against autistic people. Never disrespect people with autism by comparing them to me. Okay? This is gross.
Roots in human nature, not white people nature. And one can only imagine what might happen in the coming decades when the demographics of the US will have shifted such that white people will no longer constitute the majority, when the younger generation you've just seen have graduated from elite schools and hold positions of power.
That's why I'm going to teach my kids to be attracted to non-white people so that their kids won't get oppressed.
Power in our institutions, our government, corporations, entertainment, news media, and so forth, how they might, in wielding the levers of society, be able to rationalize, using their adult brain, the hatred that was embedded in their minds during their adolescence. What we're seeing is just the beginning. To the white people who are watching, I just want to say, you are not an oppressor for refusing to accept an ideology that teaches people to hate you, that teaches you that you are inherently bad,
I guess. Yeah,
that your children are inherently bad, that you're inherently racist no matter what you do or how you think, that you need to repent.
I feel like everybody's kind of racist. I guess a little bit. You know what I mean? Everybody kind of like segregates themselves and sticks to the people that they're comfortable with. And the first thing people look at is like skin color. And then as, you know, there's more access to money and education, it becomes like hobbies and stuff. So, you know, I think that's just kind of an inherent quality. That's why we need better resource distribution in a way that doesn't promote laziness, okay?
By taking affirmative steps in your life to redress harms that your ancestors may have done, or the racist actions of other white people. In fact, you are not an oppressor, period. You did not choose to be born white, just like any of us did not choose to be born in our race.
Okay.
And to ask of you, at the individual level, for example, to give your life in service of people of color, to be used as physical barriers at protests, to give away your house to black people instead of your children, all actual things that have been publicly demanded of white people, to ask this of you is morally reprehensible collective punishment. You are not under any obligation to carry yourself in any sort of way that others demand of you just because of the color of your skin. You need to do this, and you need to do that. Because
everybody's ignorant until they get to know a person. Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. You know, people with like black people with non-white friends, or they don't have like white friends, or white people don't have black friends, they're more ignorant to like white and black people. That doesn't mean that if you have a black friend that you can't be racist. But I mean, if you have a black friend, there's probably a higher chance that you are not racist. Okay? There's usually a better chance because you're like, oh, I'm not uncomfortable around black people. It is weird though, because a lot of like virtue signaling leftists like on the internet and shit, they're just like, I feel like they're afraid of black people. I feel like if they saw a black person, go, huh? You know, they'd be fucking scared. That's so weird. It's so weird. I don't know, just the way that they talk about black people sometimes, like they're afraid. I say some weird, wild, dumb shit all the time, and like I don't think black people care, because honestly, I and we haven't seen this in a long time, I guess, but like I think that black people think dumb white people are so funny, like, you know. And that's what I'm, a dumb fucking white person. I'm kind of ignorant. And it's like, he means well. But you got people who are just so afraid to say anything that they go fucking like, oh my God, black people are kings. Maybe. You know, they might be. I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. Black women are queens. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's just a feeling I get. I could be wrong.
As you benefit from privilege thing is bogus. It's just a way for people harboring racial.
Well, you do benefit from like a privilege. I think it's better to say like that white people don't have privileges, like black and like BIPOC people have a disprivilege. I think it's like a better way to operate. But you have privileges and oppressions based on not just your race, but also other things, like if you're addicted to drugs, or you don't have like a father in the home or a mother in the home, et cetera, et cetera. There's different forms of oppression, like mental health issues are a form of oppression.
Hogsicle super chatted $5.
What up?
Out of my 5 favorite fat YouTubers, you're 4 of them. Rock on, brother. Love your stuff.
Okay, who's the one then of the 5? I'm 4 of them, so every fat person is 4 of them. So like, what 1/4 of fat YouTuber is your favorite? What the fuck?
Animus to attack you, to say that the accomplishments you've achieved in your life isn't yours, and to silence you. It is not you. It is this ideology that is wrong and perverse. It is one cloaked in a shroud of pseudo-justice and self-righteousness, all the while excreting toxic fumes of racial
wings. Hatred. 1/4 of wings.
It blames all white people for the actions of their ancestors, something you have no control over, while absolving black people of personal responsibility for their own individual actions by holding that black people commit acts of harm, for example, towards another community. That's the fault of white supremacy. White people are controlling them like puppets on a string.
Wow. Kind of. I think that like victim narratives can go too far into removing personal responsibility on some things. Like, so let's say there's somebody living in, like a black person, for instance, living in like a really poor area that's been decimated by systemic racism. Obviously, a significant amount of their issues comes from that systemic oppression. But then there could be some like issues that they may have some control over based on like their situation. Like maybe, I don't know. Sure. I think that it's good to fundamentally try to like acknowledge different forms of oppression that may impact you, but not let them not develop a victim mentality, which is harder for people that are more impacted. You know what I mean? Like I talk about, like I have some like mental, I have like ADHD, OCD, shit like that, but it's never been like significantly impactful to the point where like I haven't been able to grow. So I never like blamed and be like, I can't succeed because my ADHD, like, right. But I haven't been oppressed nearly as much as somebody who like lives in a significantly worse area than I do. You know what I mean? Because I had like the benefit of living in an area where like our school systems are able to identify. In New York, some school systems in like the the more financially viable areas have the resources to identify issues like that. And like I came from a single father, which wasn't good, or a single mother, excuse me. I have no father, but my mother also did well for herself, working at like White Castle, and she would work like 60 hours a week, and then she would fucking come home and like take care of me and bring me to like whatever mental health bullshit I needed. So you know what I mean? It could have been worse. So I haven't developed a victim complex. I understand that there are some things that could be, I'm not even gonna say hold me back, that could be a barrier, but what's going on, brother? They haven't impacted me nearly as much, but developing that victim mentality will have a negative impact on you.
It's a backwards, transgressive ideology. If you have already hated your heart and want to fight it as a matter of principle, this does not make you racist or bigoted. If you refuse to accept their premise in your head, but are too afraid to voice your opinion, you're neither a coward nor a bad person. If you're of a liberal bent, but there's a small corner in your brain telling you as you're watching this video that perhaps some of this is wrong, listen to your intuition. Maybe you think, oh, I agree with
like the video's wrong
with most of what the progressive left teaches about racial justice, but just not with some of this disagreeable stuff, only at the extremes. I'm here to tell you that the rot starts at the core. Ooh. This racial hatred of white people is a natural outgrowth, part and parcel of an ideology that attempts to indoctrinate us into believing that there is current systemic oppression going on.
Colonizer mentality is the best, we can't be stopped. I guess so. Okay. Jesus Christ. That's so fucking stupid. I guess that would be how it is. If you had a colonizer mentality and you thought you were better than everybody else, would that have a positive mental health impact on you to like succeed in society? Obviously the negative part would be you're racist, but I wonder if the confidence is key.
That all racial disparities we see today is the sole result of oppression by white people, when there are other more plausible explanations to be had that these same people are silencing as impermissible hate speech. They're telling you, shut up.
Shut
You'll
up,
take
bitch.
it, and you'll like it.
Ooh, I kind of like that. Wait, who's saying that to me?
They're telling you, shut up. You'll take it, and you'll like it.
It depends on who's saying that to me. Some of these virtue signaling fucking woke women, they can say that to me. I'll be all right. That ain't bad, dude.
But contrary to what they're saying, you don't have to take that. You can believe that the things that have been done in the past.
They should do something where like they institute a program where white people have to go and pay to go into like a room and be whipped by like black people, and maybe you could choose the outfit they wear. And, they could say demeaning things to you and stuff, and this way white people are getting punished because they of course would not enjoy that. And they would be able to give money to black communities. That would be a really good way to try to overcome systemic issues. Maybe. I'm just busting chops, dude. Come on, relax, dude. Chill out.
Past were morally wrong, as well you should. All the while believing that what is currently going on is also wrong. That we're going backwards. That this is history.
What is that? BDSM? Black dominant small male. I don't know. What does that mean? Something about systemic oppression. We'll have to figure out how to define that. I don't know what that. I've never heard of BDSM before. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about alleviating black systemic racism. You guys are talking about something kind of weird thing, some kind of weird internet term. Okay.
Rhyming with itself. The table is turning in an eye for an eye manner. As the great Mahatma Gandhi once said, an eye for an eye will leave the whole world blind. But those driven by hatred would sooner gouge everyone's eyes.
Well, no, it wouldn't. Everybody would have one eye. It'd be like a Cyclops world.
They realized that true victory for people of color would have been having history record that when the power dynamics shifted, we treated white people with the kindness that their forefathers may not have shown our forefathers.
Yeah,
but now,
I didn't even have one
when
father.
we gained the power, we turned around and started doing some of the same stuff to white people. Segregation, social ostracization, hatred sanctioned by government and law. And we're doing all of this while pretending like we're doing something valiant. We've missed our bus. Okay. But that doesn't mean that there can't be a course correction. So, to some people of color watching who are engaging in this sort of hatred, whether or not you're clearly aware, the same people that act like white people as a collective are not people, but rather some pernicious alien force that has come to invade the earth. With this video, I implore you to ask yourself, what are we doing to white people? As some people love to say.
You know what's terrible? He said something about a bus, and it brought up this really mean like meme I saw like a long time ago. And I think I found it. It's such a rude meme, all right? And I love Lizzo. I'm sorry, but it was this. It's like if Lizzo lived alive in the 40s, and then it's a bus, and it's so bad. I don't know why. It came to my mind. I feel terrible. But that's what came to my mind. I was like, oh, back of the bus kind of, you know what I mean? Like a very racist, very edgy meme. I'm sorry. Okay.
Better.
An eye for an eye would not leave the whole world blind, because it'd be if it's two people going, oh, you hit my eye, I'm going to take your eye out for getting out my eye. I would still have an eye left, you fucking dingus. What are you talking about? It wouldn't leave the whole world blind. Okay? What are you talking about? I have two eyes. Somebody else has two eyes. I hurt them, so I take their eye out. Then they say, well, we're going eye for an eye. I now lose my eye. Now we both have one eye. Okay?
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.